Good evening, everyone. Hey, I'm very excited to announce the launch of our K8SUG Kubernetes Meetup here in Sydney. So this is going to be the first event that we are running in Sydney. Looking at the history, and Louisa, one of our colleagues, she's going to take you through some of the history and the journey that this meetup group has been through. But we have been planning for this particular event for quite some time. And this is so exciting to be here tonight and officially launching it. My name is Anu. I'll be your MC for tonight. Hope you all had some good bites of pizza. And I see a lot of you are carrying those some really cool swag. Thanks to our sponsors and the speakers here. So this is the 19th meetup in Australia. However, this is the first one in Sydney, and we are gonna kick it off with some of the really cool stuff in terms of celebrating the Kubernetes 10th birthday. So I was in Vegas to attend the Google Next in April, and that's where I met Yong Kang. So I don't have that cool Kubestronaut jacket like him, but I was fortunate enough to get a sort of compensation in terms of getting this jacket, this jumper, when we celebrated that 10th birthday over. It was a pretty good event. We had the fortunate opportunity to talk to some of the Googlers who were the minds behind Kubernetes when they started developing this. So going back, before I start, sorry, we highly encourage for you guys to take photos. Please scan this QR code. This will give you access to the OneDrive folder where we're gonna put all the photos for the events. If you have clicked any of the photo, highly recommended that you please put on the photos on the OneDrive folder. Also, who knows, someone might have clicked one of your great photos as well, so you get access to all the photos for tonight. Please do not delete. Feel free to upload, download, but do not delete. So, as I was saying, a couple of months back, this was one of the event that was held online, wherein some of the pioneers in this Kubernetes industry, the likes of Lasith Haturusinha, they came to the event. It was a 3-hour-long event. If you have not watched this video, I highly recommend go and watch it. That's where we talked some of the cool stuff and the use cases about Kubernetes, how this journey started by some of the developers where they used Bog as the operating system to run their containers in-house. And slowly it was developed to such a scale, they open sourced in 2014. And within a year, in June 2015, the first stable version of Kubernetes was released. And CNCF, they took it as a seed project, and then they came up with a stable version in 1 year's time. So that was so cool. Now, looking back in history, in the last 10 years, how this whole Kubernetes system has evolved as an orchestration system to maintain the containers at such a large scale. Now, if we look at all the major hyperscalers, we have the managed services provided by all the major hyperscalers. You talk about the Google Kubernetes Engine or Azure Kubernetes services or EKS. So they do provide the managed services on Kubernetes, and customers are using it for like out-of-the-art use cases, using the containers running on Kubernetes systems for things like machine learning and even the Gen AI use cases. We have a huge contribution from open source community, like 88K plus contributors, around 8,000K contributing companies for the cause. There are like more than 314,000 code commits to the open source repository for Kubernetes. That's massive. That shows the power of the platform and the use cases that the different companies and people have been using it for. Now, with that, I'll hand it over to Lisa, who will take us through the journey of K8SUG Meetup Group. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Tony, and very warm welcome once again. Before we proceed with the evening, I'd just like to make a quick acknowledgement of country. So on behalf of Kubernetes Australia, we respectfully acknowledge the owners of traditional lands on which we are gathered here tonight and pay our respects to the leaders and elders past, present, and emerging. So this is a quick rundown of the agenda we have tonight. So as mentioned, it is a very special evening as we have successfully extended to Sydney. And so we are continuing with the celebration of Kubernetes 10th, so the 10th birthday of this wonderful technology on which we gathered to learn about. So wrapping up the introduction, I will have myself and Yong-Han who talk a bit more about the Kubernetes program, which is called the Blue Jacket in Sydney. And tonight we have the past, present, and future of Kubernetes presented by Halfway from AWS to begin the evening, followed by several lightning talks from multiple sponsors who generously provided the slides and also the time. So with that, we have talks from SUSE, Spot.io. We also have talks from Aqua and I believe WXO2. So that will be around 10 minutes per speaker. And on that, we have a quiz time, which if you watch any of our meetup recordings from Melbourne, it's quite a tradition now where we will present several questions from each talk. And that's to knowledge. With that, not only do you get to consolidate what you've learned tonight, but also have the opportunity to earn several amazing prizes, which have been contributed by the community and each of our sponsors. And following that, we have open mic and group photo where we'll also celebrate Kubernetes with a cake if you have to go on the way here. Continue the celebrations around the world. So just a quick rundown of our mission. Since we established in 2022 as an international organization, K8SUG is very passionate about Kubernetes technologies, all things surrounding cloud, and our mission is to accelerate the adoption of this technology. So we're constantly learning from each other and sharing the best practices and hope to make the learning certifications affordable and accessible to all. Thank you to all our volunteers and organizers. So you see most of these who are from Melbourne because we've run for over a year now. And also we're very proud to have Anu and Harrison here tonight and excited and honored that they were able to help and launch this community part of this community. So we're hoping that we have many more of you to join us and build the team here in Sydney. And once again, thank you so much to our main sponsors for tonight. Multiple, as you can see, to help make this night happen. So we have CNCF and Coca, our long-running sponsors, and also the venue tonight for AWS. Thank you so much for giving us this space. So as mentioned, I'll give you a quick rundown of the global footprint. So when we were first started in Singapore in 2022, personally, I was only able to attend the online event, but this is very exciting because there was so much support from the local crowds, and we were able to make it happen very quick and grow to actually pass 1 case within the first 2 months. And so after that, we actually expanded our footprint to Australia with Melbourne community, and within a few months following that, we've actually also launched in Canada and the UK, and now back here in Sydney. And here are some upcoming events, even though we both started this month. We want to keep you updated with all of our up and running events globally. So here are some of our international events, also paying at AWS consistently, and also have some other sponsors like Microsoft. To create this photo, we also share this out and check out our social media for updates on these. And you can also watch the recordings of previous events on our YouTube. Apologies, I have quite a special event here for locals actually. So you can see on the second last one on the bottom. So KCD Sydney, This will be running from the 5th to the 6th, which is the community day for Kubernetes, and it is a run event, and we're actually very excited to offer 3 complimentary passes to the event as one of our prizes at the end. So if you participate in the quiz and learn in Microsoft, you get a preference for that. And again, these are just some of the formal cloud-native events around the world. So to see, many of them occur in the largest cities in the world. So there are also some discount codes that we can offer for being part of the community to attend these events. We hope to see you at maybe some of them or join them virtually, I believe. In addition, you can on there also a few days, and I think it's just covered up. Here you'll see one in Melbourne, so that might be the most successful one late in October, but as I mentioned, there's also KPD here in Sydney in October. So without further ado, I will pass on to Johan to wrap up the introduction and talk a bit about Cluster. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. I want to start how to join us. This is very important. We want to keep it running actively every month. So what makes us very different is we are running every month. All the cities we mentioned, we don't skip any month, which is making us become the largest active Kubernetes user group globally. So we already have 15,000 members every day. How we can make it happen? We need you guys to help. Okay, we need more volunteers. I can't travel here. I'm living in Melbourne. I can't travel here every month. Okay, so I need local volunteers to help us. So the first QR code here. The second one is volunteer. Okay, that's one of the challenges. So if for myself, only myself, I can't make that happen. So you guys saw the volunteers, list the volume. So over thousands of people helping us. So Sydney. So between Sydney and Melbourne, we're always talking about which one is better. Okay, so I think the Sydney could be better. So we need more active volunteers to join us to take the further to continue. Build our Meetup group here, become the largest active one in Sydney. So that's the first one, and also we constantly looking for speakers. This time, because I have thousands of sponsors everywhere, so I can easily ask them to join us to talk. But we can't always get the sponsors to join us to talk. And you will be feeling bored. Why everything is related? Okay, we need the speakers from the community. That also makes us a difference. Okay, so speakers from the community, you are actually doing something, you can do the best practices here. So join us as a speaker. So the first one, you actually, the speaker form, yeah, we need a different color. That's why I make it black. Okay, so it actually takes you to, you can submit the talk everywhere. We're running the Meetup. The last one is we're also constantly looking for more sponsors. So we don't want to, I never skip any Meetup, but we want to do the things. Okay, we want to swag. So that's I keep it very active. We need more sponsors to join us. Okay, so in addition, I need more people to support us, to help us to spread the word. How you guys can help? So the first one here, the LinkedIn, I only created one, probably 1 year ago. So we got 70, I think 76 or 100 followers. So I also growing very fast. A lot of people join us to learn, to get to know the latest news, to get the discount code. I love it. I personally spent maybe lots of money to do the certification. I hate it. When I was doing the certification, maximum I can get like 25% off, which is not good enough, right? So with you guys for helping me, so we draw more large community. We can go back to links competition, say, oh, get us give discount. But so far we're already doing very good. We can bring to the shop that I can show you the discount, which is You can't find the deputies come from anywhere else, only from our members. The second one, Twitter, well, actually, I personally am not active on Twitter, so we don't have many Twitter movements. But LinkedIn growing very fast. I personally have 40,000 LinkedIn followers. So the next our group also growing very fast. Telegram group, we also have probably 1,100 members. So if you just want to answer a question, how to do this and how to do that, easy. You can ask it from the Telegram group. So with that, let me talk about something else, more exciting. Okay? So have you ever seen this picture? No? Yeah? Like this? So anyone Kubernetes certified? So you probably should receive an email from a CNC. So they send an email to anyone already certified to give you guys some discount code, encourage you guys to become a Q-stream. That's the thing I want to introduce to you guys. So the Q-stream program was announced in Paris back in March. So I was there. It's my surprise. So one day before the announcement, I got an email saying, oh, you're the first one globally. Become fully certified, or CKE, ADCKS, KC, I'm very excited. I got the blue jacket. This is the first one global. Okay, I'm very excited. And how to get there? You don't need to apply. You just need to pass all the 5 Kubernetes certifications. That's it. So easy, right? But the exam itself not that easy. So once you pass all the exam, to me it's a complete surprise. I don't know if there is such a thing called Q-stream or anything like a Kubernetes group jacket. So now we know once you pass all the certification, you can get the special Q-stream jacket. And there is a digital badge also assigned to you. That's some other benefits. Okay. So also, you might be featured by CNCF. Talking about a Q-stream of the involvement. Again, I'm the first one. I'm so proud of myself. Yeah, I love it. Okay. And more fun. So where the fun? I don't know if you guys saw this. So that's the one I took a photo at KubeCon Europe in Paris. So it's like 14,000 people on site. So that's the day it was announced the program by the CTO of CNCF. And I want to have more fun. So when I traveling in India, so the first one I took British Airways flights, and I took a photo, sitting in the co-pilot seat. More fun. There is another one, a compass. I love compass. So in May, when I fly from abroad to Sydney, I took another photo of this, compass pilots. I enjoyed doing this at SUSE Geeko in Singapore Airlines. That's another restaurant, and Cathay Pacific. So I just want to say, more fun to become a Q-stream. Okay, and this morning, when I arrived in Brisbane, I traveled from Singapore to Brisbane. So I took another photo with the compass pilots. They're actually pretty nice. They invited me to sitting, on the co-pilot seat. Yeah. Okay. So we want to be a Q-streamer. Nobody interested? Yeah. A co-pilot. That's good. And we also have a Q-stream of the LinkedIn page. So you see this 9,000 followers. Guess how long it take? You get very accurate. So I created the LinkedIn page. This LinkedIn is it's not managed by CNCF, okay? It's not like an official part of the CNCF or LinkedIn. I created. So I volunteer. I spend an extra time. I even gave myself a nice title, Global Q-stream of the Ambassador. That's what I did. I was helping everywhere, helping people to become a Q-stream. And so far, in about 4 months, we got 400 people globally. And apart from the LinkedIn followers, I only created 3 months ago, exactly 3 months ago. So every day we got like 100 new followers. So people foreigners, you might find some tips on how to become a huge, how to pass all these exams, you might find some discount code, etc. How many people in Australia? Well, 10. So even globally, Australia is leading the global market. We got 10 kids in about 4 months. So majority of them from Melbourne. City is better, can be better, right? So we always compare. I believe the city can be better. So far, but city we have the first one in Australia. The first one, if it doesn't come to me, Oliver is the first one. So he was from city. He's the first one. Melbourne first one. We're going to carry. He's the first one from Melbourne. So far, the last two. This is the number 10 guy here. This is number 9. So Sydney we got 3, and the France we got actually I need to clarify. The first one in Australia is from Canberra. That's Deeks. Deeks is the first one. And from Sydney, that's the one. And we need you guys to help. Yeah, you guys can help us. So 2 of the guys, both are from Melbourne. They don't. Yeah. Once you pass, you become a Q-strong, you can get 50% off the discount code. But if you're not using, you're wasting. So 2 of the guys already donated to us, to our community. So we're going to use that one as a giveaway actually. So we're trying to help more people. Because if I got the 5 Kubernetes discount voucher, if I'm not using our this year, it will be wasted. So we encourage our existing kids to donate, and also we need more donations to help more people. I created the Google form, to track. If anyone wants to donate to us, donating was very soon. The last slide I want to talk about is the discount code. I mentioned earlier, you can't find the discount code from anywhere else. From Deeks Foundation team, you can find 40% off. But we're giving you 2% extra. So we'll give you 42% before any exams. So it can be any Kubernetes or any Linux implementation exams. And also, so when you are doing the Kubernetes learning, the best learning platform, that's Kubernetes Cloud. So they also give us some special discount. So if you go to the pro version, 47% for 1 year subscription. If you haven't done any certification, you might be interested in the Q-stream company. That's amazing, 48% off. So when I was doing, each one of these costs a lot of money. If you do CK, that's $395. That's why when I went to the filming guys from Paris, in Paris, I say, you're not going to get many people to do this. If you ask me to pay $395, I'm not going to go. So we managed to get a special deal for our members. If you go to the bundle for years, 0.5%. I hope it is useful to you guys. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to put me by LinkedIn or in one of the links I listed earlier. So I even could show to the, if you send a message, I will see it. Yeah. Okay. So with that, unless you guys have any questions, I will invite our first speaker. So Hopin is a senior cloud architect from AWS. He will talk about the past, present, and future of Kubernetes at AWS. It's a very interesting topic. You say AWS actually, EKS is not running like 10 years, but they are the market leader. If you look at the Kubernetes adoption, EKS is definitely the market leader. So let me pass it to Hopin. Thanks everybody. Let's give him a applause.
Let me see what I see. Okay.
Thank you. If you join the Zoom, we need a Zoom share.
Oh, you need a Zoom share. Okay. Thank you for Yonghan saying the AWS is the market leader. Hopefully you don't say that because you are in our office. So please excuse us for like 1 minute before we can connect it to Zoom. But before that, I want to ask you, how many of you have been using AWS? Get your hands up. Oh, you are right, it's a market leader. How many have been using EKS in the past? Or not? And how many have been running production in EKS? Wow. So let's go. If you know about the EKS, and hopefully I can, I can go from here. Cool. Hopefully you can see that again. As we probably a few years ago, we will talk about CNCF reports. 2019, 2022, 2023, we probably referring to the CNCF report saying how mainstream Kubernetes is. But now we stopped talking about it because it already become mainstream. Kubernetes has already been in your operating systems for the modern applications these days. So you can see that like Kubernetes as an operating system. On top of that, you have deployment, you have IDP, you have application code, etc. Let me just move this one. And the mission for EKS or AWS Kubernetes on AWS is to provide application-ready production Kubernetes for our consumer to use it. That's why we are focusing on your expertise on the application deployment, application development. Hopefully you can get a reliable system at scale, and you don't have to worry about all the infrastructure downstairs, but as much as you can, and also a low risk profile because we are hosting this on our data centers, on our VPC, and across multiple availability zones. We are providing 99.95% this point on our SLA. And this tells you about the journey. Upon the celebration of the 10 years anniversary of Kubernetes, and also I think Anu was talking about when the first Kubernetes was live in GA. We also have our GA starting from 2018. This is probably a 5.5 years and 6 years, reaching to November this year. But you can see that first, we have gone through numbers of journeys. 2018 and 2019, we're focusing on the control plane. So you see that the features coming such as EKS available, making sure that it is compliant with different ISO, PCI, SOC compliances. We are expanding to 15 regions. We have different drivers for different things, right? And then the next phase is from 2019 to 2021. We are focusing more on the data plane itself. So you're starting to see we still have CIS benchmark compliant, and then we're starting to have EKS add-on, load balancer controllers, and particularly management group and non-management group with the custom AMI, which is key features during the time. And then from 2021 onwards to probably last year and this year, we were more focusing on the cluster operations. So things like you can see that we are focusing on Chainium instances, AI ML, extended support for our customer who want to use more than older versions 1.25. So and also different CSI driver available. So this would be the playback of the 5 years of EKS or where it was. There are some of the important features that we want to talk about, and one of them is Carpenter. Carpenter was released, if you look at the roadmap, 2021. And this so far become one of the most popular open source project for AWS. One of the most popular, together with some of the other one that we want to share with you later. And even the other cloud provider like Azure was starting to consume the Carpenter. So Carpenter basically what it does is that probably a lot of you have used CloudCasa. A lot of you use CloudCasa. So what Carpenter does is using what we call no-cookies deployment instance. What it does is that for a lot of cloud providers like Azure or AWS, they are using something like auto-scaling groups in the back end to spin up multiple nodes. Carpenter go away from that. Carpenter go directly call your EC2 API or whatever VM API from your cloud providers, and then you spin up the workload very, very quickly. It supports various of features such as different node type together, right? If you want to integrate with sport instance, not the NetApp sport, but the AWS sport instances, it will be quite easy to go players. And it's becoming very, very popular. So you see that Azure and maybe Google is going to take the advantage of using Carpenter for their cloud solutions. So now it is part of the SIG auto scalings on the Kubernetes. It has become a very formal project in the CNCF. Also, we want to talk about the machine learning EKS. So you know that the machine learning and generative AI has getting a lot of heat in the last 1.5 years. So also, I think there are more and more conversation about how can we host different workloads on Kubernetes, on EKS, to support your machine learning or data analytics workload, right? And then this is what machine learning on EKS news in 2023, supporting accelerating compute, as you can see, EFA drivers, S3 mount point for CSI driver, together with different customer use cases for robotic model training and inferences and generative AI. I mentioned about previously the very successful open source project from AWS. One of them is Carpenter. The other two popular one of them is called EKS Blueprint. If you want to implement an EKS with the best practice, you can go to search for EKS Blueprint. It basically comes with Terraform module that can help you to deploy EKS in the best practice way. You can have a look at that. A lot of this best practice feature has been integrated into the Terraform EKS modules in Terraform, right? But you can still search for EKS Blueprint if you want to implement best practice on open source. And this one, as you can see from the QR codes, is called data on EKS. So as I mentioned before, there's a large initiative, not just from AWS, also from communities, on data analytics workload and AI/ML. So if you go to the EKS website, you will see that there's a lot of patterns, Terraform template, best practice on how to use different type of data analytics workload and AI/ML. Okay, for instance, you can find Kubeflow on EKS. You can find the patterns on using, for instance, EMR on EKS, Ray on EKS, etc. So there's a lot of collaborations and space between different areas of domain experts together with the Kubernetes. So I would suggest you to have a look if you are interested in deploying data analytic workload and AI/ML workloads in Kubernetes. So looking back for the last 5-6 years from Amazon EKS journey, we look at what will be the future looks like. No one knows what the future looks like, but these are the 4 areas that we can foresee for EKS in the machine learning roadmap, right? Firstly, is about storage compute optimizations. How can we integrate with the latest AI/ML infrastructures innovation, such as using NVMe CSI driver, S3 CSI driver, together with different accelerated AMI. Secondly is the Carpenter. Carpenter will continue to innovate for different use cases, because we mentioned about the flexibilities and the easy to deploy workloads. We have a lot of data analytics workload on EKS, data on EKS, actually using Carpenter in the back end. For instance, if you're using Spark, there's some of the examples such as using Spark shuffling. You can use Carpenter together with your workload to support your storage requirement for the Spark shuffling. Obviously, there are some of the features like GPU time slicing, capacity block reservations, saving plan, and on-demand reservation scheduling. And then obviously there's performance and resilience improvements such as large resilient workload. Recently we have a customer who has spin up thousands of nodes in a very short period of time, and that will cause I think the API server becomes extremely busy. So we are basically improving some of the performance on that. And also lazy loading from container images. So every single time when you spin up a node and you put down images, you enable this lazy loading, you will basically accelerate the time that you get your container pulled into your node. And obviously there are other tools and libraries out of the box ML on EK experiences. EKS add-ons, catalog expansion with more and more data analytics and AI ML add-ons from data on EKS project. So we were expecting more years to come for Amazon EKS. This will be something that we hopefully can have more and more customers continue using this and enjoying the journey to be hopefully still the #1 market share. If you're interested in the EKS public roadmap, feel free to scan this QR code and they will have all the containers roadmap and public roadmap on EKS. And if you have any requests, feel free to post that on the request. You have requests on the features or any issue that you want to raise. You can have an EKS best practice guide. This is also very, very popular among our customers. We are keeping it very, very actively from our internal AWS teams to maintain this EKS best practice guide from security, authentications, CI/CD, networking, etc. So you can have a look. EKS workshop, if you're interested, you can go and do a free on training EKS workshop and EKS grouping, as I mentioned before, the best practice open source project for EKS. If you want to deploy EKS, you refer to the EKS group. So thank you very much. If you have any question, feel free to ask or you can reach me offline. Thank you.
Thank you, Rafael.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. What an amazing talk it was. I was just talking about using the and generative AI use cases, but taking it to the things like robotics, that's the next level. So, and that's probably why AWS is one of the leaders in the market for a reason. So thanks for that amazing talk. So next we have Lasith. Yeah, Lasith from SUSE talking about our journey into Kubernetes world. Yes, with SUSE Geeko.
Thanks, everyone. It's good to be here. I did my session back in Melbourne talking about New Vector. So it's good to be here and to be on the first day of the Sydney event, the Kubernetes school. Does anyone know who this is? Like it's familiar from SUSE, but it has a name. Sorry? Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, any other names that keep it in SUSE? So this comedian has a name. So his name is Geeko, G-E-E-K-O. Right. So say hello to Geeko. Right. So we are going to go on a journey with Geeko on what we do and what we have done in the Kubernetes space. Right. I'm going to start the story from 1992. So I'm going to do that. But look, we have been in the open source world for more than 30 years now, right? And we've been helping our community in Linux space and in Kubernetes space for the last 32 years, and we continue to do that, right? We also been part of the initiatives like Cloud Native CNCF, we have been the top in the top position, one of the top contributors of the CNCF. And also we've been a top contributor, like the 50, top 15 contributor for Kubernetes as well. So we've been doing a lot for Kubernetes since the inception. Right. We've been an early adopter for Kubernetes. We've been an early contributor for Kubernetes. We've not been doing much at that time, but with Rancher, with all the things coming into the picture, we've been continuing to do that as an open source company. One of the other things that we have contributed the community to the open source world is that we shared our tooling with the world, which is the open build service, right? SUSE or SLE is built using open build service, and most of the distributions, build packages for massive distributions are using open build service. And since 2023, Kubernetes itself chose open build service as its official package building platform, right? So we continue to do that, and whatever that we build in the mindsets of helping the community, helping everyone else of our contributions. Apart from that, we also done a lot of work around Kubernetes. Right? You've heard about Rancher, the Rancher Kubernetes distributions. So we make things from scratch. Michael, you just mentioned this line today. We build things from scratch, but also sometimes we, acquire things and make it open source, like NuVector. And hopefully in the future, we'll see stat state and observability and AIOps too. That's going to be open source as well. So whatever we buy, we want to make sure that it's open source so that the community gets benefited. It's not just us making money. We want to contribute back to the community. We always maintain that open source nature in things we do. Apart from that, we also done a lot of other open source projects. People would hear just Rancher or Rancher Kubernetes or K8SUG or Harvester, but there are other projects that we have done in the past and it's not even listed here, but then we have just let it be and communities sort of start using them, and if they see value, they'll take it on, right? And with that, what that future will look like is we will continue to sort of invest, contribute to Kubernetes, or most of our CNCF projects that are in the CNCF portfolio. We'll also create new projects like the ones as like Rancher Turtles. This is a project that we are working on currently to bring Rancher management and Cluster together. Right. So K3K, another new project that we are working on is to bring multi-tenancy using virtual Kubernetes on Kubernetes. So there's a lot of things that we do, and we continue to do that, helping the community, Linux, Kubernetes, whatever, we will continue to do that. I think I just, because there's a question, so I'm probably gonna go back to this slide. Yeah, so there are K3S and Longhorn, right? They are CNCF projects. Right? K3S is a sandbox project, and Longhorn has been an incubating project. So they've been in CNCF for a long time. So I just want to highlight that in case you won't remember that in the future for questions. All right, so with that, I want to keep things simple and wish Kubernetes a happy birthday, right? So as I said, SUSE will be an open source company, and we'll continue to do that, investing in the community and the open source. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Quite informative talk. I really like the last slide. Do we need to switch? Yeah. Okay. All right. So with that, we'll proceed further. So we have got David Toller from Aqua. He's gonna talk about Lightning Mode and eBPF.
We produces an open source scanning tool, which is the largest and most downloaded scanning tool in the world, security scanning tool in the world. Our platform is largely based on Trivy. So anybody that's used Trivy in their CI/CD pipelines or scanning of their containers, workloads, images, we're using one of the core pieces of software that we've released to the community, which I think is incredibly important. I think it's very important that open source vendors provide value back to the community that they just take from it. And I think one of the things that's beautiful about the sponsors here tonight actually is that they're all doing precisely that. SUSE obviously has got a very long history of providing great value back to the community, and so does AWS. Whereas the app is obviously glad to be part of that community as well. So just a minute, I'll go back to actually talking on a talk track that has some direction.
Almost there, almost.
We have two bases. One is actually in Boston. The other one is in Tel Aviv. The company is
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
But also based on goals. So one of the things about our Australian operation is while we don't have an office here, actually, we have sales teams, but also our support teams are based here. So all of our customers in the region get very, very direct access to our senior support people, which I think is incredibly important. Again, for people to be able to trust the vendor is that they've got support locally. And actually, we've just signed an Australian region, so on AWS as well. That's AWS is an incredibly important hardware ecosystem. And it also means you can get Apple via AWS Marketplace, which just makes it a little bit easier. So for anybody that has credit points that they want to use up on AWS, you're able to do that through Marketplace with Apple, which is just great. Excellent. A proper talk track. Fantastic.
1 second. How to make the mirror? Because you from the Zoom it's presented here.
Just 1 sec. Apologies, I don't think I'm going to be able to at this point. Anyway, all good. Okay, fantastic. So what I'm here to talk about generally is a little bit about Apple's history, very quickly, because I don't want to bore you all any more than I already have. And also talk about the way we've represented containerized security since the sort of inception of Kubernetes, and also how we're looking at doing that in the future, and how we're looking constantly to do it better. So I'll just get through this a little bit quickly. So this is just a very quick look at the history of Aqua and the way that we've worked with Kubernetes over the years. Obviously, as I was saying, 2014, happy birthday Kubernetes. 2015, Aqua is brought to life with the express purpose of protecting Kubernetes workloads. 2017, we bring out Kubernetes benchmarking, which again just shows a really strong focus from Aqua around Kubernetes, and with KubeBench, we're started really looking at how you, as Kubernetes users, are able to protect your workload, both looking at the posture of the system and then actually doing active testing against that, which is something that was very difficult to do otherwise. Then we bring in Trivy, which I was already spoken about, so I won't go through that any further. Now in 2019, I don't know if who's heard of Liz Rice? Yeah, excellent. Who's heard of eBPF? Okay, excellent. So if you've ever read a book, the guide to eBPF, by this device out there, it's part of the device that actually working for Aqua. So when it comes to eBPF, so what eBPF essentially is the ability to tap into system calls through kernel, which is meant rather than having an agent-based system like using Oligo or a number of methods, which can be quite intrusive, what you're actually able to do is load kernel code that is able to actively and line rate monitor all system calls that are going through the kernel on the host, which is obviously then able to see anything that's going on the host and anything that's going on, any guests that are on that host, which is really where it comes down to the value of an agent-based system. Anyway, I won't go through too much more, but in 2022, we called Argon. And Argon was extremely strong in protecting code. So CI/CD pipelines, code scanning, SAS, SCA, all those very important things. Because all, as we know, Kubernetes is lovely, it's one full system, but it's part of a system. And that system starts with people coding and it ends with workloads that somebody's going to try to attack at some point. So for us to protect the system, protect the entire system, and that's a really important part of what I could do. Okay. This is like the longest loading slide in history, by the way. So this is just a really great graphic that I love, which just shows the level of complexity we all have to deal with. And especially when companies go, hey guys, we're going to cloud, and go, oh good, thank you. We suddenly have to deal with an incredibly large amount of complexity with relatively limited resources in general. I mean, what can an expert know? Probably 3 things really well, maybe like 4 or 5 things okay. So by the time you've got 30 or 40 services in a cloud environment, you need to have 5 or 6 people working on that cloud environment, just so that you've got a reasonable level of competence across the board. So it's not that you're dealing with quite large companies, you actually have redundancy in your information and your skill set. That becomes a really difficult environment. So you need some automation in there to be able to actually look at that properly. And that's really what Aqua do. We provide an end-to-end platform for securing your code to cloud journey. We provide CSPM, KSPM. So who knows what KSPM is? Okay, so KSPM and CSPM look at the posture, the systems look at the posture of your infrastructure. So is your infrastructure, is your Kubernetes environment configured correctly? Is your Kubernetes environment things like a certificate setup, all of the various configuration elements to make it secure. So we're securing the posture and configuration of infrastructure. We're also securing your code and then your runtime environment at line rate. And that's really where we come into Lightning. And this just gives you a very quick picture of the context where we'll provide end-to-end, which is very, very important. So what's the value of an agent? Really, the pros gives you line rate detection, the capability to see problems immediately. Because anything that happens through the API, you're only getting a little snapshot of what's going on. So if you can't see everything, you're probably not seeing anything that's of value. Line rate enforcement, which means that if I can see it and then I can stop it at the point where it's happening, I'm actually secure. Okay? If you see it after it's happened, the horse is bolted. And that's the issue with a lot of platforms, especially anything that's based on messaging or that's based on APIs. It will tell you that the thing happened. So you can then go back to your organization and say, hey, we just lost a lot of our data. If you actually want to stop the data from being lost, I don't know, maybe you're a telco, for instance, maybe you're a health care provider, you probably prefer that that didn't happen. But as we know, agents have a few problems. You have to install them. People hate them. Who hates agents? Okay? Because anybody that's had to break into images and all the rest of it, it's a huge problem. And this is really where we get into using eBPF. eBPF allows us to deploy security with one reputation as daemon sets on our web nodes and also on our control nodes. And it allows us to then see every single system call, whether it's a CPU system call, memory, storage, or network, which means it doesn't matter whether it's a network scan, so a memory resident attack, that makes it storage, something getting loaded in storage, we're able to see it and we're able to stop it. And that's really what the next generation of agent-based systems or agent-based protection is. It's using eBPF and it's using Kubernetes, it's using EKS, and also things like Fargate, where we're seeing that Kubernetes structure blind, and that's obviously happening a lot more. So one of the things that you guys can use today for free, much like there's a URL there that you can use to just have a look at if you'd like to. But it will allow you, as a security person or as an interested person, to see exactly what's going on in your system. It's just exactly the same tool that underpins our UEBPF capability. Okay, that's everything. I just want to give you a really high-level view on all that. If you have any interest in this, please feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to go through that in a bit more detail. But rather than bore you all, let's say happy birthday, Kubernetes. And I would like to talk to you all for that. For us, there's a couple of different things. One of the things we do have the ability to we haven't stopped being able to do that. But we can either load as an agent, we can load as a sidecar for people that don't actually want to have something baked into their edge. And also with our hyperscaler partners, we're actually looking at the moment at baking our capabilities into their hypervisors, which means that you're able to get those sort of value or that kind of value even out of sort of a CAS type environment. So obviously also we do things like functions as a service, which obviously is still underpinned by that Kubernetes infrastructure. It's just you're not having to deal with complexity. And obviously EKS was kind of the first pass at sublimating that or sublimating that complexity. Then you've got some CAS and then you've got functions, but underneath it all is actually Kubernetes. So we're able to, with functions, we're able to use layers to do a similar thing, but we are actually able to get you all the way through. So yeah, great question. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Now, with that, I'll hand it over to Matt.
Mark. Close, mate. It's good enough. It's good enough. I'll answer the most things. I'm Mark. So I'm from Spot by NetApp. Somebody asked me earlier if we're the original Spot Inst. You may have known us as that, or Spot.io. It's now Spot by NetApp. And I guess that's the journey of a lot of startups as they go through acquisition. So acquired by NetApp, it's the legacy storage vendor, or I shouldn't say that, they're still a relevant storage vendor. I'm the only person at NetApp that doesn't talk storage, so I tend to give them a bit of grief. But anyway, what I'm talking about today is, I guess, not storage, what we're doing really in the Kubernetes space. And underneath the Spot branding, there's a number of different products, deal with a whole bunch of different things that you might do in the cloud, things that you might consume. Obviously, Ocean is the one we're going to talk about today, which is focused on how do you optimize and how do you automate your container infrastructure. Agenda I'll jump through, but these things here, these are really, I guess, what we've identified as challenges people face when they're trying to run containers in the cloud. It's no surprise that the number one that comes out there is cost. Maybe not to people who are in DevOps or SRE type roles. I'm sure they hear it from management about cost, but there's definitely people in every business that's complaining about cost. How do we get our costs down? How do we get our costs down? Who's generating this cost? Just cost is everywhere, especially lately. There's a number of other different challenges people face that kind of fall under that management and automation category. You know, multi-cloud, as much as AWS might be the market leader, Azure
exists, Google Cloud exists. I only like saying those cloud provider names. I normally get in trouble if I say it in an AWS office, but yeah, they definitely exist and have a presence. You know, AKS, GKE, people are still running containers in those environments, and people want to spread across cloud. So how do we manage it? Operational efficiency, just being able to manage our Kubernetes environments, and just a lack of skills. You know, they're all things that come under those problems. Availability is always a thing. Doesn't go away when you're running the cloud. It arguably becomes more of a question, but something that needs to be addressed. And scaling our resources out. You know, they're all things that are highlighted by people as problems, and they're things that we, I guess, resolve or help people resolve with our Ocean product. So I mean, everybody's saying how long they've been around for. We've been around for since 2018 when EKS launched. Spot existed as a company since 2017. And when EKS came out, we expanded out into integrating with EKS initially, and off into the other clouds. So, you know, what do we do? 3 main areas that we're integrating with. Doesn't matter what control plane you're using, whether it's EKS, ECS, AKS, GKE, some other Kubernetes version that you've decided to go with for whatever reason, you know, we'll integrate with any of those. But what we're doing is allowing you to see your costs as a first step. So there's a bunch of different reporting things that we have available for people to be able to see what their cost is. And that's often kind of the first step in identifying or managing your cost, you know, seeing what's generating. Is it coming from compute, storage, network, whatever it is? We make that people able to see that. We also enable you to use different types of compute in the cloud. So not just on-demand instances or on-demand VMs, which are the most expensive way to consume compute, but the most flexible. You can use those, but you can also use things that are covered by your ROIs and your savings plans. You can use the spot instances as well. So there's something that was mentioned earlier on tonight, using spot instances. They are the most cheapest way to consume compute, but you just got to be able to deal with the interruption. So we have a whole bunch of automation and telemetry around the interruptions that you get with spot instances and just make them a lot more easier to consume. The one in the middle here, we've got, you know, as was mentioned earlier, most people would use something like cluster autoscaler in their clusters. We essentially replace that with our controller. We take over the autoscaling in there, and we do what we call pod-driven autoscaling. So we're focused really on what are the pods in our clusters requesting from a resource perspective, and making sure that the nodes that we provision in our cluster match that. We often find customers who have, you know, a configuration in a cluster where somebody's defined an instance size, you know, an M64XL, you know, let's just go that one. And every time they scale up, they deploy that instance, whether they need 6 CPUs or half a CPU. And it just generates a lot of wastage. We have essentially automate that decision process for people. Advanced bin packing is something we do here, which I call a glorified Tetris game, as you can see highlighted there. And it's really just how do we put our workloads in a cluster to most take advantage of our resources that we're paying the hyperscalers for. A whole bunch of other things that will come in there that I can go into in more detail, but I'm limited in time. The one on the right is one that's kind of evolved, particularly most recently, which is the pod right sizing. So we don't just deal with what are you buying from the hyperscalers in a compute perspective, but what are your pods actually requesting from your cluster? Just because the developers deployed their pod and said they need 16 CPUs, do they actually need it? Maybe, maybe not. And that's something that we can definitely address with you. This is an overview, kind of, I guess, of a whole bunch of different features and functionality that we address to make things cheaper and easier. I won't go through all of these, but I'll touch on a couple of them that I find interesting, or that I find our customers most likely find interesting in the way they run. But this chart is one that I can't get away from, which is really just highlights the way clusters run when they're managed by our products. You know, the one in yellow without Spot, and that's a cluster that's running well. It's always got resources to meet the requirements of the application or of the pods that are being deployed into the cluster, but it's always over provisioned. It's always, you know, paying more for what you actually require. The one on the right hand side, you know, that's with Spot. So you can see that there's a whole bunch of different types of instances being deployed in there. The green instances are ones that are covered by RIs or covered by a savings plan. And we can make sure that you're utilizing those if you've got those in your account. A lot of customers would use that as baseline. And as you can see here, as they've kind of spiked up for their daily operations, you know, they've got Spot instances generated and providing all of those resource requirements. You can never get completely away from on-demand, so Spot instances are fully exhausted in the region or the type or whatever it is, we can still deploy on-demand instances into your cluster. This is again just a graphic just to highlight, I guess, how we make sure that the clusters are fully utilized. On the one hand, it's good to make sure we're deploying the right size, but we've got to make sure that those sizes are being fully utilized. So again, this is the bin packing, the Tetris game. On the left-hand side, we've got a number of different instances in there with our pods sitting in there in different colors. You can see there's gaps in there. On the right-hand side, we end up with a bigger node, but it's actually being fully utilized. So that comes essentially from products where it essentially reads what do you actually need and makes the right decision around what instance sizes you're deploying into your cluster. But yeah, not just the nodes themselves, the pods is something that we're starting to address. So these are some stats that we've got from different customers where the workloads they're actually running in a container environment, 49% of containers use 30% of the requested CPU. You know how Kubernetes environments work. If you request a CPU, the cluster has to provide it. So if you've got workloads in there requesting a whole bunch of CPU and not utilizing it, you're still going to pay for it. And the same with the memory. 45% of containers are only using less than 30% of requested memory. So what does that mean? It means we've got a whole bunch of resources we're paying for we don't actually even need. The way that we are addressing this currently, we provide it as a recommendation for you, so information for you to consume. The feature of that is actually expanded out into this kind of graphic as you see on the screen, where it's going to be applied in an automated fashion. So what we do is we essentially read what is the demand on the cluster from the workloads that are running in there. Does it actually need the CPU or the memory that's being requested? And if it doesn't, we can automatically apply a right sizing onto that cluster, onto that pod. Essentially, it integrates with the VPA, the vertical pod autoscaler, to apply those right sizing. This chart is from one of our customers that have been doing this as a private preview. I'm not sure if you can read that exactly, but they've essentially got a bit over 5,000 vCPUs deployed into their cluster. And providing our recommendations and even only reducing it by half, we can delete 2,000 of those CPUs because they just don't need them. I had a look into what was running it. They had a workload that was requesting 45 CPUs. I don't know why 45, it seems a weird number. They were requesting 45 CPUs. They had 53 of those pods running, but they only needed 17 CPUs. So by scaling that all the way down, they can save from this customer, 26 grand a month. Which is, it may not be that much for all clusters, but it's definitely sizable. I'll jump through a couple of these because I don't have as much time to go through them, but availability, whenever we talk around spot instances, availability is something that we have to address as well. The way we address it, we essentially collect all the telemetry around what do these spot markets look like, when are these interruptions going to happen, and we essentially predict them ahead of time and predict the health of the markets ahead of time. So as we need to scale up a cluster and we need to choose what instance type needs to be provisioned, so whether that's in AWS, Azure, or Google, whichever one, we've got this telemetry data so that we can pick the ones that are going to last a long time. We don't want to be provisioning nodes that are going to get interrupted again in the next hour or two. We want to provision nodes that are going to last a lengthy amount of time. We'll also then automatically spread them out across the AZs. And even if you don't do this, if you don't spread them out, we'll provide this recommendation through our panel for you and how you should be spreading them out. But this is really just to make sure that if, for whatever reason, all the spot instances in a particular AZ get taken, you don't have your entire cluster disappear. You can kind of cope with that interruption. The spot instances, we don't have to fully commit to them to use our products. A lot of customers only have 50 or less percentage on spot instances, and they run the rest on demand or covered by RIs. Obviously, you'll get more savings the more spot instances you run. But that's a definable metric in the cluster. And again, whenever spot instances disappear, if they disappear completely, we do just fall back to on demand. So we're not at risk of having a cluster completely disappear. So a lot of the times you'll find customers there or clients that question, well, can we actually run this in production, or is it just our dev tests? And absolutely production. That's what we're doing with all of our customers, running this in production, not just leaving it in dev tests. From a management perspective, how do we make it easier for DevOps people? Things like auto healing and auto update. If nodes become unhealthy, we automatically replace them. We can auto update clusters as well, so we can know when the control plane gets updated. and talk and take it through upgrading all the nodes in the cluster as well in an automated fashion. That just takes away, I guess, some of the effort from the engineering teams. This is a chart that highlights the cost metrics, and this is something that you can then present back into the business whenever people are asking why is the bill so high? Well, who's generating this cost? You can see it per application, you can see it per namespace, you can see if it's compute, if it's storage, if it's network, information is available to you. Changes in your cluster, if we need to update our RAM, if we need to change our security groups, if we need to change our user data for whatever reason, they're things that we control. We allow you to do it all in a graceful manner, all done in blue-green deployments. So these are just some of the things that can make it a bit easier to manage your clusters. I know I've jumped through fairly quickly. This is normally about a 30 or 40-minute presentation, so I'll try to highlight just some of the key ones that make sense or are interesting to people. But these are the things that really just help make a life a lot easier, as well as saving a bunch of money in your cluster. Normally I do a bit of Q&A, but not tonight. But management and automation, that's one of the ones that we focus on to make it a lot easier for DevOps teams. Cost is a big one for everyone in your company, not just for the DevOps guys, but for the cloud managers, infrastructure managers, and then availability as well. We want to be able to run our clusters and save money, but we don't want to interrupt or affect our uptime and availability. What I encourage you to do, if you've got any questions about any of these, that QR code will go to my LinkedIn. So send me an invite, take a screenshot of my number or my email address, drop me a message. I'm happy to have a conversation with anybody on any of these points in more detail. But thank you for your time, and I guess happy birthday, Kubernetes. Go down to the bare bones. You want to leave them a bit of product, and then you can also define the maximum, will reduce it down. So you can say, I don't want to cut it in half. There's different rules like that you can apply, and then it will automatically apply to the workload as it runs. So it doesn't reach out and change the YAML or change the manifest or anything like that, but it changes it as it runs. So if you look at what's running on the platform, it will change what it's requesting. But then if you go back to where the code actually exists, none of that will be changed. Does that answer?
Yes.
Yeah, but automated, definitely.
And how does it integrate with other possible controls that you might have, such as RT or any other operating thing like that? Does it use the server-side apply to get around the possible conflicts?
Yeah, I don't know how those conflicts, because we're doing it only as it's run on the cluster. We're not doing it.
Yeah,
Should.
Yeah, but as an operator, you might fly with it. So anyway, that's too difficult.
Yeah. But it should be fine. The only thing I know that it doesn't need everything, anything that's attached to the horizontal folder tail. It won't interact with that. That's going to come in the future. But anything that's not running that, anything that's running as a normal deployment or stable set or retain set, will integrate with all of this.
Thanks, Mark. I was at PMC back in the days when PMC was PMC too. I hear you out when you say that data storage family, the storage network slide where you can pull out the names. All right. So next up, we from WSO2, he's going to talk about the Platformless internal developer platform.
All right. There you go. Sorry about that. Okay, so we are going to take a slightly different direction, and we're going to talk about developer platforms, basically about how you can bring Kubernetes and all the fancy infrastructure to your average developer. You and I might understand Kubernetes and complex infrastructures and all that, but if you do generally take your average enterprise developer, put him in a Kubernetes environment, things don't always go well, right? So we've seen the transition from the more abstract principles around DevOps, transition into more tangible things with things like platform engineering. So before we dive into that, I'll do a real quick intro to WSO2. I'm sure you may have not heard of us. So we do have deep roots in open source. We started in API management, identity and access management. We have a global presence. We aren't entirely small. We've got 800 plus customers in 6 different continents. We're growing rapidly. We're also being acquired by EQT, the same private equity behind SUSE. So yeah, even though you might have not heard of us, you definitely touched WSO2's tech stack somewhere down the line. I can, I'll bet good money on it. So yeah, that's about it. I just threw this slide in. It always sounds fancy. So let's talk about platformless, right? Sometimes when we say the word platformless, you get a knee-jerk reaction from folks, especially platform engineers. Like you think you're talking about taking away platforms or making it disappear, but that's not necessarily the case, right? So it's more like a philosophy for designing platforms. Basically a way to bring things like Kubernetes and complex infrastructure choices to developers, right? Without overwhelming them, without, causing absolute chaos. So the philosophy is basically based on something very simple, right? What if the platform were to just disappear, right? Can we get developer platforms to be taken for granted, like the things that we take for granted today, right? So it's basically a design ideology more than anything, but there are some guiding principles that we sort of believe in, right? Basically, an internal developer platform, a good one at least, should be opinionated, right? It's basically a golden path for engineering teams. This is sort of where I see the transition from DevOps to platform engineering, right? You'd see a lot of articles out there saying DevOps is dead, long live platform engineering, things like that. But in my humble opinion, I don't think DevOps really died, right? DevOps was more like a set of abstract principles, and abstract things are very hard to implement, right? So what we saw was we took those principles, those philosophies, we turned them into tangible things that we could actually implement, right? Platforms. And then we come to the whole problems with shifting left. We see a lot of platforms that are built out there. They are either a bunch of pipelines strung together. Basically, you don't have a platform, you have a giant pipeline. Or you basically shift left in the wrong way and you give developers access to everything, right? You log into that, you log into this, and you log into that, right? Basically, you expect developers to take on operations, and that may work in certain companies, but it doesn't work everywhere, right? So ideally, it's something that should abstract away and automate some of these things and make their lives easier. Ideally, just take away the platform, right? Make it disappear so that you don't have to think about solving things that matter. For example, if I want to develop something like email service, right? Every enterprise, well, not every enterprise, the average enterprise has at least 3 different email APIs and services, right? If you're a consultant, you've probably noticed this because 3 different teams ended up doing the same thing over time. There's no way to reuse it. If I wanted to expose something internally to my organization, I would have to either go mess around with some firewall rule. I would have to figure out how to make an internal API work, right? I would have to figure out how to rate limits so other internal teams don't DDoS me. To solve the basic problem around, delivering some sort of value, you have to also go and fix a whole bunch of other problems, right? At the platform level. So a lot of you are solutions architects, right? And if you see this picture, you're probably drawing up a lot of different, let me see if I can organize that. Different ways to solve this problem, right? It's very basic. You have 2 teams, you need to keep them separate for some reason. You've got external traffic, you've got internal traffic, and you want to stay compliant, right? Now, I put a diagram here. I don't have a lot of time to go into depth around these things, but basically we've skipped all the essentials around CI/CD, building things, getting them out to Kubernetes, because that, to most of you guys is just your everyday stuff. But rather, if you were to represent this in sort of cells, right? This is cell-based architecture. It's just a way to represent domain entities, groupings, and network models. So basically, northbound traffic, you would put a couple of gateways there, right? You need an external gateway, you need an ingress controller for your web app traffic. And to communicate between these two entities, basically two teams that are separated, you'd put an internal gateway in there. And now we start realizing what the challenges are, right? For example, I now need some level of zero trust in here by design, right? Now in this example, I've brought in eBPF with Cilium because that's what we use, but maybe solutions from Aqua would fit in here as well. So this is where things sort of tend to get complicated, right? We build platforms, we string things together, but we leave out lots of things here and there, right? Or you end up with a lot of control interfaces. If you want to see the logs or you want to see something else, you log into 5 different things, right? It's not really a platform at that point. And if you expect your developers to go and log in and do all of that, they tend to take the path of least resistance, right? So it never works out. So again, you want to bring in rate limits so the internal teams don't DDoS themselves, right? You put something, again, we've used WSO2 and Envoy as the API gateways here, but you can take your pick with any API management solution that works on Kubernetes, right? Or eBPF. So basically through this, we can get kernel level encryption, and we can also see deep inside network traceability into the platform, right? And then the diagram gets even uglier because now we need to bring in observability, right? Aggregator logs, alerts, metrics, the whole thing. And again, another mistake you could make here, you plug in some observability stack. And what we would usually see is that to trace the lifetime of a request, you log into something else, you look at the API gateways logs. Then you log into something else, you look at the applications logs, right? And so on and so forth. It's never really consolidated into one place. And consolidating all of that, that is where the real challenge behind building a platform comes into play, right? I put a couple of other use cases in here as well, like resiliency and scale zero, but you can skip it. But this is kind of like the tip of the iceberg, right? When it comes to building a platform. Your platform becomes a product, right? It's not something that you can build once and just let loose into the wild. Something that you will continuously need to work on, put your effort and engineering talent into, right? And it's an ever-growing list of requirements. You saw in some of the other talks, the ecosystem is very easy to navigate either, right? So you have to stay on top of that and make sure your internal platform can support all the shifts in the ecosystem, right? So this is where usually a lot of organizations are coming to this kind of question, right? Do I try and build a platform internally or do I buy one, right? And you can go either way. And what we've seen so far as a company who is now building, commercial sort of productized internal developed platforms, that we see a lot of organizations going for the second option. And a lot of them have tried to build platforms themselves as well, right? It's usually a journey of self-realization. You try to build it, you realize it's not as simple, and then you end up, getting someone else to buy it. For example, Choreo, the internal developer platform that we developed at WSO2, we've got almost 100 engineers working on it, right? So it's definitely not a simple task to invest in building an in-house platform. So the whole idea of platformless, right? There's a lot to touch on. It's hard to get the whole idea across in 10 minutes, but the idea is we spend a lot of time thinking about how to make the platform work to deliver some kind of value, right? I want to get this capability added to my stack. And to do that, I have to think about the platform. Can the stuff that's running underneath support it? But what if you could just switch it around, right? Basically, the platform goes out of your site and most of the things that you want to do, you don't really have to think about it. API management, for example, is a good example, right? We usually think of API management as a orthogonal, separate aspect from deploying something onto Kubernetes, right? I have a service, and then I want to manage my API that's, attached to that service. But what if you could bring all of that together, right? So developers don't really have to think about API management and deploying and observing, right? A platform that sort of brings everything together. So this is where it becomes more of a product pitch, right? So this is Choreo. Basically, you deploy your source. This part is very similar to a lot of other containerization platforms, but the difference is Choreo brings everything together, right? From the moment you connect up your source code with an open API definition, for example, your deployment is bound to its API. Observability runs deep from application logs down to, everything is tied together. You can even run it on your own infrastructure for compliance and other reasons. We support Azure, AWS, GCP, Vultr, and on-premise Kubernetes clusters. We, of course, build this on top of Kubernetes. Right? And yeah, so Choreo is, it does a lot. It's free to use. You can try it, sign up. I'm not suggesting that you use Choreo instead of trying to build your own, but it is, in fact, a good reference to look at if you are considering building a platform in-house. Right? So yeah, if you're interested, have a look at choreo.dev or wso2.com, and that's it. Thanks for listening.
So, ready for test. You guys ready? Yeah. So this is a Wi-Fi code.
If you guys don't want to use your own, yeah, because you want to reply fast, right? Yeah, you better have a Wi-Fi. So once you guys get the access, we also collecting your feedback. If you guys don't mind, yeah, it's maybe take 2 minutes to provide us the feedback. And remember earlier we did mention we have awesome swags to give away. So from I think Spot and one, that's a really nice drinking water. Yeah, I want to keep one for myself. You're gonna get it right, mate. And we also have, this is the one, I also would love to keep, this is pretty cool. Yeah, we've got quite a few, yeah. So, and plus, we also have the cool cloud access. 6 months, yeah, it probably costs you like $100 also. And plus, you can get 50% off for Kubernetes exams. So remember earlier I mentioned, yeah, these are from our existing Kubernetes students. They donated to us. So we want to help our community. And Brad is still here. Yeah, Brad is one of the main organizers for the KCDC. So he offers us 3 free tickets. That one can be possibly like $75. Yeah. And I already mentioned the strikes. Yeah, I don't know what else we have. Yeah, so far. That's why we need more sponsors. Right? Yeah, if you guys don't know any one of your friends or your company, yeah, or your personally you would love to be a sponsor, yeah, you can go there. Okay. And once you guys are ready, I will pass to Anu to walk you through the quiz.
Try your best. Just remember, the top 9 or 10 people are gonna get some really cool swag and tickets to KCD or who knows, 6 months subscription, free subscription to Code Cloud. Yeah, there was a QR code. Did we?
Yeah, it's coming.
Remember, you need to answer correctly and also faster to get to the top. So here, the top, you got more choice. Towards the end, you don't have many choice, even no choice. Also, I forgot to mention, yes, we need you guys' help to help us spread the words. So when you win something, yeah, you have to create a post, right? And make it post Twitter, whatever you like. And feel free to tag us, tag Kasura, even tag me. Yeah? I don't know if it's still the Are you guys ready? How
I-
many people joined the, yeah?
23 are already in there.
Anyone else maybe? Want to join the play?
This is your last chance. All in. Okay. First question. How does Carpenter provision nodes? EC2 order scaling groups directly with EC2 flights, Kubernetes cluster order scaler or daemon sets. Wow, okay, 40% got it right. So it does provision it directly with EC2 flights. Moving on to the next question. What capabilities does Carpenter possess? Provision nodes, schedule pods, consolidate pods, or all of the above? Wow. I think if you can't make a choice, just select all of the above. 79% of 76% got it right. Cool. Moving on to the next question. How does Carpenter dynamically select instance types for spot instances? Lowest price, capacity optimized, price capacity optimized, or most unlikely to be interrupted? Nice. So 42% of us got it right. It's price capacity optimized. Moving on, we got a fair bit together. We got 11 questions in total. So what major cloud providers does Ocean run on? I don't have to read it out. AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, or all of the above? There you go. All of the above. Next question. Which of these statements is most true? Ocean will help with cleaning up the Great Pacific garbage patch. Ocean is not suitable for production workloads. Ocean will help you achieve continuous optimization, automation, and improved visibility. 80% of Ocean clusters run on spot instances. Nice. So it's B, Ocean will help. Yeah. The percentage just changed. Moving on to the next question. Bin packing is. Okay. Thanks, Yunhong. Now everyone see who is at the top of the leaderboard. Mark, you are killing it, man.
Doesn't count.
You know everything about ocean. All right. Wait for aqua related questions.
myself.
True or false? Longon is a CNCF sandbox project. True or false? Oops. Okay, it's false. So, most of you got it incorrect. Moving on. Which platform is used to generate and publish Kubernetes for official packages to its official package repository, packages.k8s.io? Project Builder, OBS, Open Service Build, or Launchpad? %41 got it correct, so it's Open Build Service, OBS. Mark is still maintaining his position at the helm. Next question. True or false? SUSE has been in the top 15 contributing companies to Kubernetes over the past 5 years. %100, wow. I was gonna say Lasith is probably gonna catch up now quite quickly, but almost everyone got it correct. 2 more questions. What makes a good internal developer platform IDEV pay? It is a set of tightly integrated pipelines that support your entire SLDC. It is an external marketplace for APIs. It is built and maintained by third-party vendors. So it is, it provides an opinionated golden path for engineering teams to get work done. There you go, Mark. You're on number 3 now. Yeah. You're at number 3. Last question. What does platformless mean? It means there is no underlying platform or infrastructure. It means the platform is completely outsourced to third-party vendors. It means you don't have to think about the underlying platform or infrastructure. It means we have to displace platform engineers with platforms. And the correct answer is, wow, 100%. It means you don't have to think about the underlying platform for infrastructure. So with that, we are at the end of our quiz. If I click on end quiz, will it stay there? Okay. Go to, yeah.
Wow, who is Leo?
That was me. Oh, I was doing that as a
No, that doesn't count. We need your phone. Serious, yeah, let's hear that. It is good. Okay, so what would you like?
Nice one, man.
You want to take a photo? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're okay. We take a photo.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
also-
Mom may come in.
Thank you.
We also need you to bring in post.
So
Yeah.
you there.
All right.
No, that's me tomorrow. Okay.
Thanks. Congratulations. Who's number two? Second number. We are one. Congratulations. Yeah, we still got quite a few options.
I'll take a look afterwards.
You expect something like a touchable now?
It's okay. I'll skip this option anyway. So we're great to get you. At least not a problem.
Okay.
Wait. What are the
You want
options?
to pick a photo? Or maybe the typical food product says, or you want to join taking this in.
So probably I'll go for this one. Because it looks good.
Nice.
Thanks, sir. Thanks. Sir.
The third winner. Lasith. Amazing, eh? Congratulations, yeah.
I'm gonna skip that.
Oh, no, seriously, you can choose the digital code card access or maybe KCBC the.
I'll be at KCD.
Okay, or you can choose your own Geeko. Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, we got another option for someone else. So,
You're shitting on me from the front.
what would you like?
You can skip it.
Oh, you don't want it. You want to see? Oh, you want to pick anything, yeah?
Just a code cloud.
Okay.
There's a
very nice
photo right there. Very nice photo.
Yeah, no problem. We just need to go. We don't have anything, yeah, we need to take that photo with you. Yeah. We need you to help us with those.
Yeah.
Awesome, congratulations. We only have 3 photos. We'll see how the 2 photos. What's the next one? DT.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations. Yeah, amazing, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't get his voice.
I didn't even know myself.
Awesome.
I hope.
Well, I hope. Congratulations. Anything?
Well,
Thinking bottle. Nice. So you got one more bouncy ball as well.
Show the brand of what.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks.
Who's next? Felix.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Oh, nice. I want to keep this for myself, okay? Thank you. Congratulations. Is it Marco?
Yes.
I know you want to pick up a 1 year. What do you have a 1 left?
I'm gonna give it to my daughter. She's gonna love it.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. She has all the other masking.
Oh, all right, this side.
No,
Much better, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward. This one also got, I want to keep for myself.
I have this one. Yeah.
Full products as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, make sure, you pass us your full name, email address.
Yeah.
Okay, and also mark, we'll go your detail. Is that Dara or Dara? Congratulations. Anything? Code call, okay, we're running out of the code call access, we only have 3. Okay, so you got one, I mean, after you,
Okay.
there's no more. Awesome. Yeah, make sure you get us your email for me. Who's next?
Brad, congratulations, man. You don't want the KCD.
This one. Yeah, awesome, yeah, very good choice. Yeah, if you want.
This is fine.
Okay. Hold on.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna, who is next? Binura. Is it Binura? Binura, okay.
I already got a little mascot.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's all.
You don't need KCD as well, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, so you don't need a ticket. Don't take mine.
Actually, yeah, Spot.io, we still have one last one.
You won't get it.
Yeah.
It should.
Why not?
Why not?
All right, we still have quite a few smaller ones. How many? Yeah, there are a few over there.
We can just give one to everyone. There is only small chameleon left.
Okay, I think, yeah, we should have one for everyone, right? So let's take a group photo.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you don't get any small one, we should have the small one. And we also have some stickers, yeah. And we are actually do have the cake. We will celebrate after the group photo, okay? Don't just go away. Let's take a group photo, please. Yeah, come over here, please.
Also, the back made a stand.
Yeah, if you don't want, keep holding any one of these, and if you want.
Who's taking the picture?
Hold on. Make sure you're holding your swags. Okay, if you haven't got the small one, yeah, feel free to take one from here.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say, no, why? We need
They take selfie. Did I block anyone? Use it.
So he says, happy ninth birthday to Kubernetes.
Come on, guys.
Cheers.
Haven't heard it out tonight.
Yeah.
Why?
Kid cabin.
Yes. There you go.
Hey, Hobby. Why don't you not join us? Let's eat cake.